let's now talk about metaphors and how they can be employed in critical discourse studies. We'll just have a look metaphors, what kind of realities they constitute, and are they beneficial in analyzing a certain kind of discourse critically or not. According to Carl John, metaphor analysis has been gaining credence, gaining popularity in various critical discourse studies because of its usefulness in analyzing certain ideological and social perspectives. Cognitive approaches to metaphor in this regard have been very useful because these approaches believe that metaphors are not only about how we say something about the world or about the people, rather, how we think about certain objects, because a metaphor would not only be a marker of our style of speaking or our choice of words, rather, it will also be a marker of our thought or thought process also. So it is also concerned with how we may think about particular subjects, and sometimes in a systematic way. Lakoff and Johnson and many other researchers argue that examining its realization, the realizations of various metaphors can be very helpful in understanding dominant structure ways which are popular in certain kinds of discourses or among certain communities, and also help us to know how people conceive reality. By knowing what kind of metaphors and in which situations they employ them can help us to reach their ideas about reality. Particular metaphors can be strategically deployed to construct and perpetuate particular worldviews and versions of reality by certain reviewers, audience, by certain speakers, political leaders. So, metaphors not only can be constructed deliberately, but can also be deployed deliberately or politically to convey certain meanings or to convey certain ideology. Furthermore, the analysis of metaphor can help probe ideological structures and foundations in text also. And metaphor can no longer be seen as a decorative part of an argument. People speaking a certain kind of argument or discourse, they just share certain idiom or metaphor to show uh, their worth in that language or their prowess in that language. Rather, it has become very much a medium to convey deep ideological meanings also. So it has, with the help of recent works in metaphors, has given us a clue about its ideological power also. It is this ideological potential of metaphor analysis which brings it closer to critical discourse analysis, because critical discourse analysis also aims to find the hidden ideologies or embedded power relations in a discourse. Carl's focus on cognitive view of metaphor is as a product of embodied experience also hints towards it. Moreover, it is believed that this needs to be complemented with the consideration of the text also, of the context also, because what kind of metaphor or in which linguistic situation it has been used is important to be known, but it is also important to be decoded that what sociocultural context was in there, and what kind of certain meanings it can generate in that particular context. Uh, it, it is further argued that metaphor and analysis of promotional discourses in recent times is beyond language even. There are certain metaphors which are used by various modes. For example, a picture can be displayed, or kind of slogan or other things can be raised. So metaphors now are not literal or not based on lexes or words only. Rather, they can be based on certain images that needs to be investigated in detail also, and that probably this potential makes it a very fascinating topic for critical discourse analysis also. In recent years, there has been an increasing interest in the more dynamic, ad hoc, and contingent cognitive operations related to metaphor during the production of a discourse. This has led to some critical scholars giving attention to some theories like conceptual blending theory. This theory is not only cognitive in nature, but it also gives a scope for a greater activity and strategy in which we can not only have an analysis, a contextual analysis, but also we could look into the communicative aspects of the use of a metaphor. In short, we might say that there has been a lot of research recently in critical discourse analysis studies in which metaphors have been explored to reach to the ideological or specific socio-cultural meanings of a text. And this analysis of metaphor has a huge potential uh, which needs to be further explored in future critical discourse analysis studies.